All right, Dan Nicholson here with Nick Peterson. Welcome to step one of the profit priority portion of the Certainty app. And if you haven't watched video one, giving the overview, I'd say stop here and head back and make sure you watch that video. With that said, let's kind of dive right in. And as context, we really want to make sure that we get this portion accurate and complete, because it's going to drive everything else that happens within this portion of the app. And also what I want to emphasize is that when you're thinking about your priorities, we want to think about that we have some tangible things like buy a home, buy a car, fund retirement. We also can have some intangible things like I want 10 more hours of white space per week, or I want 5 hours of additional workout time or time to read. Things that are important to you, but don't have as easy of a quantifiable number like buy $1 million house. So the point of that is that when you're really getting into your priorities, we want to be complete and think beyond just the tangible stuff that usually our brain goes to first. So with that said, as you start entering your priorities, right here it says enter priorities in order of importance. Now what I want to say to you is what we want to do first is just get them in here, and then we'll go and change the order to make sure they're in order of importance. So let's just focus on getting all your priorities down. So it could be buy a car, do that in 1 year. Okay, could be 10 hours of time. I want that in 2 years. And so then we could have buy a house in 5 years, and we could have priority number 4 would be fund retirement in 10 years. Okay. So once we've got them in and we're complete in terms of all of our priorities, and then you can change the order, because we do want to have these sequenced in terms of what is your number one priority. What is the thing that you want to fund that's the highest priority to you, the thing you want the most. And so then you can come up here and say, change the order. And maybe we go, you know what, really what I prefer is to buy a house over buying a car. So I'm just going to click, hold, and drag buy a house up to being number one. And that's it. Once we're done with that, we click proceed to go to the next step. But before we do that, I want to emphasize a couple of things, commonly asked questions that I get from folks. Number one, how many priorities should I have? And really that's a preference. You can have 10, you can have 20. From my experience, more than 5 to 7 becomes overwhelming, because what we're going to ultimately do, if you follow our methodologies and teachings, is that we want to optimize over maximize. If you're stuck in the maximize framework, you're not likely to make any progress. Maximize is I want to do everything today. I want to fund all my priorities right now. And the reality is that that's not possible. We're a team of 1 or a team of 2 if you're married. And we don't necessarily have the money or the time to be able to do every priority at once. So priority number 1 is what we're going to focus on. Then we're going to move to priority number 2. Priority number 2 actually becomes priority number 1 because you've completed priority number 1. It's gone away. It's complete. So all that to say, try to make this as complete as possible. You can have as many priorities as you want. From my experience, what's most important is figuring out what truly is priority number 1. The rest of them don't necessarily matter, because we're really just going to focus on funding priority number 1 before we move to priority number 2. And oftentimes when people get to what they had as priority number 2, they find that they actually have a new priority that's priority number 1. So all that to say, don't get too caught up in having the ordering entirely perfect. Really what we want to make sure is the list complete, and is priority number 1 truly priority number 1. Focus on this first, get it accurate, get it complete. Don't move to step 2 until tomorrow. I know people want to get in and just get things completed it once. But to really get this stuff accurate and complete, you're going to need to think about it. So good luck. Appreciate you going through this process. I think you'll see as you use the app, it's going to be really, really powerful to get this in and get it, like I said, accurate and complete. All right. See you in step 2.